Today's hearing started with hopeful words, then nosedived into petty blame games. I'm Ethan Blake, and we're diving headfirst into another round of polished speeches and unresolved accusations.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vogt, welcome.
Thank you, Senator.
In my judgment, I do not know a single person in Washington or outside Washington who knows more about the federal budget than you do. I used to read your suggestions during President Trump's first term, many of which Congress ignored. We shouldn't have. I am delighted that the President picked you. I have read that since 2019, the population of America has increased 2%, and our spending has increased 55%. Under President Biden, I wish him well. If we had discovered life on Mars, he would have sent it money. Is that sustainable?
Senator, it's totally unsustainable, and the problem is that you go on these trajectories that we are currently on, and you don't know when you're going to get to the point in which you have some major problems as an economy, as a country, and we know that historically.
I hope you'll start with the low-hanging fruit. There's a lot. When we sent out stimulus checks to save our economy, $1.6 billion went to dead people. And the checks were cashed. Obviously fraud. OMB has estimated that in fiscal year 2023, we sent out $1.3 billion of checks to dead people, which were cashed. Obviously fraud. When you die in America, your name is sent to the Social Security Administration. As you know, you become part of the master death file. Senator Carper and I discovered that Social Security would not share that information with any other department of government. So we passed a bill saying you have to share it with Treasury and other people who write checks, so we'll stop paying dead people. Duh. We got pushback, believe it or not, on the bill. We had to agree to a trial period, and that trial period ends in 2026. Will you help us make that program permanent so we can stop paying dead people?
Yes, Senator.
Now, you served in Washington for years. You're going to be challenging the status quo. You're going to be called crazy. Many people also called Noah crazy. And then the rains came. And all the fact checkers died. You have to persevere. Now, I'm not asking you to get ahead of President Trump. But if you were king for a day, tell me how you would save money in the federal budget without impacting the American people.
Thank you, Senator. I think it's the strategy that we had in the first term, which is to go really and take a very close look at the agencies that are spending and wasting money, and I believe weaponized at times against the American people. When they put a 77-year-old Navy veteran in jail, Joe Robertson, for 18 months for building 4 ponds on his ranch to be prepared for wildfires, that's the EPA. I think we have to look at that, and we have to look at the agencies that Congress has a vote on every single year through the appropriations process. And then I think we need to go after the the mandatory programs that Senator Cornyn mentioned that are keeping people out of the workforce because they have become not just a social safety net, but they have become a benefit hammock. And increasingly so in the aftermath of COVID, as many of these policies were impacting people's decisions to go back into the workforce. And I believe, and because we produce budgets along these lines, you can get sizable levels of savings and reforms that can lead to a balanced budget and get us back headed in a fiscal trajectory, not only that we would all be proud of, but we could say this is going to keep us from fiscal ruin.
My time's expired. Ella, Porter, do you have anything you'd like to add? Okay, now's your shot. Thank you, Mr. Vogt, for your time. Congratulations.
Good call there, young lady.
Right out of the gate, you hear the respect, the admiration in Senator John Kennedy's voice. This isn't the usual phony DC back-patting. This is genuine. I do not know a single person in Washington or outside Washington who knows more about the federal budget than you do. My friends, in a town built on lies, that is the highest form of praise. Kennedy, a man whose folksy Louisiana wit is a weapon of mass truth, is anointing Russell Vought as the real deal. He's telling us, this is our guy, and then Kennedy drops the hammer. The kind of statistic that should be on every news channel, on every billboard in America. Since 2019, the population of America has increased 2%, and our spending has increased 55%. Let that sink into your soul. 55%. My God, that isn't a rounding error. That is a nation driving its economy off a cliff at full speed with Joe Biden asleep at the wheel. Kennedy's line, if we had discovered life on Mars, he would have sent it money, is pure, brilliant, and agonizingly true. I laughed, but it was the hollow laugh of someone watching a tragedy unfold. It's a joke that cuts right to the bone of this administration's insanity. And Vaught's response? Totally unsustainable. He doesn't mince words. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He confirms our deepest fears. We are on a trajectory to major, major problems. This isn't a political game. This is a 5-alarm fire for our country's future. But then we get to the part that makes my blood boil, the low-hanging fruit. The part that exposes not just incompetence, but a systemic, malignant rot. Senator Kennedy lays it out. $1.6 billion went to dead people, and the checks were cashed. Are you hearing this? $1 billion with a B, sent to the deceased. And it's not a one-time screw-up. It happened again in 2023. The government has a master death file. They know who has passed away. Yet they cannot perform the simplest, most basic function of not sending checks to corpses. And the most infuriating part? When Kennedy and Senator Carper tried to pass a common sense bill to fix it, to simply share the list of dead people with the agencies that write the checks, they got pushback. The system fought to keep paying the dead. The swamp's immune system activated to protect its own waste and fraud. It is a level of dysfunction so profound it borders on the criminal. And Vaught's simple, firm, yes, Senator, when asked if he'll help make the fix permanent, is the sound of sanity breaking through the madness. This is where Senator Kennedy's words turn from analysis to prophecy. He looks at Vaught, this man who dares to speak truth to this bankrupt power structure, and he gives him the warning every patriot has felt. You're going to be called crazy. And then the line that gave me chills. Many people also called Noah crazy, and then the rains came and all the fact checkers died. Wow. Just wow. In one sentence, Kennedy captured the entire MAGA movement. We are the Noahs, building a new ark for America, while the elites, the media, the fact checkers all mock us from their sinking ship, completely oblivious to the flood of debt and decay they have created. It's a biblical metaphor for a battle of biblical proportions. And Vaught is our master shipbuilder. So Kennedy asks him, King for a day, how do you save money? And Vaught doesn't hesitate. He doesn't offer talking points. He offers a battle plan. First, he says, you go after the agencies that are spending and wasting money and are weaponized against the American people. And he doesn't just say it. He gives a soul-crushing example. The EPA jailing a 77-year-old Navy veteran for building ponds on his own ranch to fight wildfires. That's not government. That is tyranny. Vaught is saying we don't just trim the fat, we go after the cancer. We defund the very agencies that have become the Stasi of the deep state, harassing and persecuting hardworking Americans. This isn't a budget cut, it's a liberation. Second, he goes after the mandatory programs that have created what he calls a benefit hammock. What a perfect, devastating phrase. Not a safety net to catch you when you fall, but a hammock for you to lounge in, paid for by your fellow citizens. He's talking about restoring the dignity of work, about ending the post-COVID policies that pay people more to stay home than to contribute. He's talking about turning dependents back into producers. This is the path back to a strong, proud, and prosperous America. This is how you get us back headed in a fiscal trajectory that will keep us from fiscal ruin. This wasn't a hearing. This was a preview of the reckoning to come. This was a glimpse of the kind of warrior President Trump finds and unleashes on the swamp. In Russell Vought, you see a man with the knowledge, the courage, and the moral clarity to do what must be done. He's Noah, and the rains are coming. Thank God he's building an ark.